franktalks.com.
Relationships of any kind are hard, but what if you are in a relationship where your partner isn't committed to you? Is it worth staying in that relationship, or should you break it off and start again? Relationship coach Frank Kermit joins us to talk about commitment within a relationship. Frank, welcome back to the Kelly Alexander Show.
Thank you, Kelly. Always a pleasure to be here.
So at what stage should couples make a commitment to one another? Is it after a certain amount of years, or is it like a feeling that comes over you? Like, how do you take things to the next level?
Believe it or not, time together is not the most important factor. Whether a couple's been together for only a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or even a few years, time is not the issue. The issue is, what is your life plan? And whether or not your partner is able to support that life plan. That is the deciding factor. If your partner does not have the same life plan as you or isn't ready to support that life plan as you, it doesn't matter how long you've been together. It signals that this relationship may not have a future.
What are some of the signs that your partner is not committed to you?
Well, in one thing, defining what stage you are at your relationship. Are you just friends with benefits? Are you dating exclusively? Are you dating non-exclusively? Is this person your primary partner, assuming you want to practice open relationships? You do have to give a title, a level, a designation to the type of relationship you're in. If your partner doesn't want to take you out to a corporate event for their company and say, this is my partner, this is my significant other, that might be a sign. If you're going to go out, public displays of affection are very important. And I'm not talking about holding hands or hugging or anything, but if your partner is going out to a wedding and doesn't invite you along as an official date and introduces you as just a friend, that might be an indication that your partner is not that serious about you. And if you're both on the same page about that, that's okay. It's when one person says, I want this to get more serious, and the other person says, I'm not ready for that. Quantify it. When will you be ready? What criteria are you looking for? What is holding you back? And if the person says, well, I don't know what's holding me back, that's a red flag.
When it comes to commitment, how is it best to bring up the subject of it? Do you need to go in talking to your partner saying, are we going to become engaged? Like, do you have to have a clear idea about what your level of commitment is that you're talking about to your partner?
100%. Look, the best way to talk about commitment is directly and calmly.
Okay.
Just simply say, look, I want to know what your life plan is. That's probably one of the better questions you can start with. What's your life plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years, and so on? And if you are thinking about wanting to start a family, see if your life plan regarding starting a family is the same as your partner's. If your partner has this plan of doing a number of things and starting a family isn't one of them, talk to them about it. Well, in all of these plans that you have, at what point would you be interested in starting a family? You see, a lot of people take starting a family for granted. Well, of course, during that period of time, I'm going to want to start a family. I'm going to want kids. I'm going to want to live this lifestyle. What people don't realize is that has to be planned for as well. The time it takes to be an active parent is time taken away from all of these other ventures, all of these other goals. People underestimate that. It is those people who go into it saying, well, I want this kind of career, this kind of lifestyle, I want to be involved in these types of activities, and I also want to make sure that I have time during this significant part of my life to be an active parent. Those are the people that are best able to handle the stresses and the life changes that come with these major life transitions.
What do you say, or how do you deal with expectations? Because even if you are a couple, you are still an individual first, and I feel like lots can be lost in translation about what each partner expects from the relationship.
When trying to balance the individual attitude with the couple attitude, you have to remember that there are going to be things that you may have to compromise on and things that you simply will not compromise on. It's important to discuss this. You have to talk to your partner about it, especially if you want to get more serious. If you want to get to the point where you're in a committed relationship, you have to know exactly what it is you're willing to give up and compromise on and what you're going to hold on to for dear life. If you can't even have these type of conversations, that's a sign you should not be aiming to get committed. And this is a very sad reality for people, because they'll come to me as the relationship coach, and they'll say, how do I bring this up to my partner? And I'm thinking, if you don't even know how to even bring it up to your partner, if you don't have the open communication between you and your partner to talk about it without fear, that's the bigger issue for me. A couple that has a solid foundation for a relationship should be able to talk about things that are very uncomfortable. And if you're so worried that, well, if I bring this up to my partner might not like it, my partner might leave, well, that's a bigger issue than whatever issue you're going to talk about. If a topic of conversation is going to split you up, you might not have the solid relationship you think you do.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important for people to sit with and let that marinate. What would you say? I know you said a couple moments ago that time isn't necessarily a factor when it comes to commitment, but it's weird because I feel like some people assign time to a relationship, like, oh, if we've been together for 2 years, it's make it or break it time, like it's time to get engaged or not. So what do you say to those people, Frank? Does time play a factor at all, or is it really if you can talk to the person on every single level?
Yes, time does play a factor. However, time alone cannot be the only factor. It's basically saying, let's look at something non-romantic here. If the only reason you're still friends with somebody is because, well, we've always been friends. We've been friends for 20 or 30 years. We have nothing in common. We don't have anything to talk about, but we've been friends for 30 or 40 years. That to me signals, okay, they're making time the most important factor, and it's not. Time can be a good catalyst, though, to force certain conversations to the surface. For example, we've been dating for 6 months. Well, after 6 months, are we going to get exclusive because down the road I want to be monogamous? Well, if you've been dating for 6 months, that's a pretty good use of time as a catalyst to just bring up the conversation. So this way, you don't end up dating for years and years aimlessly and realizing, wow, I've just wasted so much time. Time is great when you want to set a deadline, not to say, well, after 6 months we should be engaged, or after 6 months or a year we should be moving in together. Time is the catalyst to say, okay, we should be discussing this at this juncture. And at that point, once the deadline is reached, look, are you interested in getting engaged? Are you interested in moving in together? Are you interested in having kids? At the very least, both people know that at that particular juncture, at that particular deadline, the conversations are going to come up. If people want to be ready for that deadline, they can prepare. Well, what is it that I do want? What kind of questions should I be asking my partner to see if we should get more serious or not? But that's the best use of time. But you don't say, well, we've been dating for 6 years, we may as well get married, or we may as well have kids, we may as well live together, because that is a recipe for disaster. Nobody wants to feel that the other person is there, well, just because there's nobody else and we were together long enough. They want to know, I'm with you because I want a future with you. I want to build a life with you. I want to be there to support you when you're down, and I want to be there when I'm flying high, and I want you by my side because you're the person that I want to build this future with.
Okay. Joining us on the Kelly Alexander Show, relationship coach Frank Kermit. You can learn more on his website, franktalks.com. Frank, I think some people stay in relationships because just sort of like you mentioned a few moments ago, that it's almost easier, or there's no one else in their mind or something like that. Is it so bad to stay in a relationship with someone who isn't committed? And how do you realize if they are not? Like, let's say you really do love this person and you think they're great and they love you back, but you're not sure if they love you to the level that you love them.
Wow, there's so many questions there. Where do I start? The first answer to your question, should you stay in a relationship with someone who isn't as committed to you as you are to them? Make a list of everything you want in life from your relationships. If this includes marriage, living together, having children, or getting help to raise the children you may already have from a previous relationship, make a list of where you want to live, how you want to live, day to day. Make a list of all the things you want to experience. Some people want to experience, let's do something really taboo here. Some people want to experience a sexual variety lifestyle, while other people want a lifestyle that's quiet in the country and not involving too many other people. Whatever it is that you want out of life, make sure that you know what that is and that you communicate it to your partner. If you're getting your needs met and the person is giving you the level of commitment that you need, maybe not necessarily what you want, that's up to you to decide if it's worth compromising and sticking around. Is the good outweighing the bad? And if the answer is no, then no matter how good it is, it's still bad. So that's the first question. Some people stay in relationships because, as you said, it is easier to stay with a person that meets some of your needs and not all, because there's always that fear. Maybe I won't find any better. Maybe I'm never going to have this kind of connection again. Well, that's true, because every time you're dealing with a new person, the connection is going to be different. It's not a question of better or worse. It's a question of difference. There's going to be things about the new person that you're going to love and things about the new person that you're not going to love. Look at couples that have been widowed and then remarry someone else. So you have people who they've had past marriages or past relationships, they're widowed, and they move on to find a new partner. It doesn't mean that their past relationships that ended with death are any worse or any better than the relationships they have now. They have to make a decision right now as to what will make them more happy and who they connect with and can continue to live with and build a future with. You don't say, well, this relationship was better than that relationship. Each relationship is different. Each connection is different. If you have an unreasonable expectation that I have to find exactly the same connection as I had with an ex of mine, well, that's so unreasonable that you're going to be disappointed. You have to take every connection as a different connection and just enjoy the qualities of it, knowing that there's going to be some things about it that you may not like, but are tolerable.
How do you get out of that, though, Frank? Because I think it's a really important point that you just brought up, because I think a lot of people are trapped by their past. Like, let's say they were in a relationship where, it didn't work out, but they really had a connection with that person, and it was a really important relationship in their life. And, now they're with someone else, and they love, they love person B very much, and they connect on a bunch of levels, but let's say they're sort of haunted by relationship A on some level where they just can't finish each other's sentences like they could with relationship A. How do you deal with that and move? Like, let's say you really do want to move on and be with person B, but A is haunting you a little bit even though you don't want them to, because I feel like that's probably a commitment issue for a lot of people. Like, they're haunted by their past a bit.
Absolutely. It's very human. It's very normal. Let's look at a few things here. When you look at any past relationship, you got to remember something. That past relationship didn't last. So for all the good that past relationship offered, even if there was only one or two good things that you can't get over, obviously those 2 or 3 things or those great things were not enough. Because if they were enough, you would still be with that person. The fact that the relationship ended for whatever reason suggests that as great as those qualities were, there are other qualities that are more important to you. And if you have that with your new partner, then be happy with that. Yes, you're going to remember, I don't have the same connection with my new partner like I did with my old one. Well, if you have the unreasonable expectation that you should, that's the problem. That has nothing to do with your new partner. That's got to do with you. Mm-hmm. Be grateful. I mean, this is a way to find some healing here. Be grateful that you were able to experience that with somebody else. But to have the unreasonable expectation that you should only be involved with people that you have that connection with, well, you're going to end up spending a lot of time alone. Mm-hmm. I get the idea that, we all have people we hold torches for. And we all have people that we remember as, I had something special with that person. Guess what? That's something special you had with somebody. Be grateful for it. It was great. It was wonderful. But the fact that you're not there with that person right now is a sign that as great as it was, that one quality is just not enough to build a long-term future.
Okay, perfect. Frank, thank you so much for your time on this topic. I think it's been fascinating. Thank you so much.
Kelly, this has been great. I'm always available to do the Kelly Alexander Show.
Excellent. That is relationship coach Frank Kermit. If you want to learn more, make sure you check out his website, franktalks.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating and relationships? Visit franktalks.com.
If you need help with your relationships, my buddy Frank Just go to franktalks.com. His advice is better than your mom's. He knows what you're going through, 'cause Frank has been there too. So log on to franktalks.com. franktalks.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating, and relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at franktalks.com. Coaching available in person, by phone, and by Skype. For singles, couples, and alternative lifestyles, franktalks.com.